We should be live. There we go.
Oh, we like.
So welcome back, Eric. Désirée is gonna be co-host. She's gonna have the different view on the different subjects because she has the observation of somebody that's not directly an architect. But thank you for accepting the invitation for the episode number 100, despite you told me you're very, very busy because you're doing some overnight work for some competition as usual.
Yeah, I should.
But for me, it was important to have you because I remember when we did the first podcast with you, and I told you that I numbered episode 00 because I want to get to 1,000. You were like skeptical. I'm gonna see that, and then it's the 100. I say, okay, I want to invite Eric. Show him at least the 100 is there.
No, it's well. Thank you very much for the little talk. I mean, it's the nice moments of my Sunday. Yeah, no, I never had a doubt that you will manage to do it. I mean, there's two sort of people in the world. They are the people doing it and the people not doing it. So you're doing it. If you do it repeatedly, it will work. I mean, this is the whole point of doing it repeatedly. So of course you will. I'm super happy. I mean, I want to be in the 1,000 after that.
Of course, we hope to survive until the 1,000, right? Because I was also thinking the first time we talked about together, there was no video. It was in the middle of the first pandemic, and now we are in the middle of a war. So I don't know if we should talk again.
No, well, it's not my fault. First, well, I hope it's not my fault. You never know, actually. Yeah, I've been to Ukraine like a lot, so maybe it's my fault. But I'm totally pro-Ukrainian, so there's no discussion here. So people that are pro-Russian, you can just leave the podcast right now. You can come back later, I mean, but not now.
No, but by the way, since the war started, I'm also pro-Ukraine. We put in every description of the podcast like the IBAN where you can donate to the Ukrainian army.
You do that, and also give to the people that are having problems. I mean, you need both food and weapons. This is the only way to win a war.
Yeah, exactly. I saw also you very active, like artistically, let's say. You have done a couple of images that were related to the Ukraine war.
Yeah, it's well, I've been to Ukraine a few times, and it's honestly, it's I went first because of a lecture. I was invited to something that was called Connection, and really, I honestly didn't know exactly where Ukraine was on the map. Just remember that the capital was Kiev, but it was more, a bit out of luck than anything else. And it was one of my probably my favorite lecture, the best I ever did, mostly because of the audience. And like 5 or 6 days, absolutely amazing. All the people that I met at that moment were still friends, and it was in 2012, so just one year before Maidan. And I went back. The last time was in 2019, so not that long ago, just before the pandemic. Also for a lecture, and I absolutely love Ukraine. It's not something, there are countries that you feel good and country you don't feel good about. And Ukraine, because of it, I don't know, maybe it's coming from there's both a romantic and a no-brainer, kind of mentality. People can do wonders with not a lot. There's an enthusiasm that we certainly have lost. I mean, we became in Europe whiny little bitches. That is a bit what happened. And it's nice to see actually a country that still wants to do it. I'm not saying that the country was in a good state, that it's easy, that it was not corrupted. I mean, I'm not embellishing the thing much, but yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, yeah, well, and
a lot of nice one also.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that I don't love Russia. So we're clear as well. I mean, it doesn't make Russia a bad country. It made some Russian a bad country. I mean, the same way not all Germans were Nazis, and all not French, all not the French were for the revolution. But nevertheless, it's a fantastic country. I'm absolutely, totally sorry that it's happening. I do everything I can. I try to not overdo it because it can seem a bit like a gimmick. But I'm brutally honest about it. I generally never give my opinion online because finally, I mean, it's just bringing trolls and stupid discussions. But in that case, I'm doing it. And I can discuss about it because I became kind of fluent on the subject, and I can really say that my love for Ukraine is coming from a mentality that I think we've lost, and this mentality is all about being brave. As dumb as it sounds, even in art, you have to be brave at some point. Even in you have to go somewhere, and in order to go somewhere you have to be brave, and it's true for images, true for music, and it's true for war as well. But we don't do wars anymore, not that I'm missing it. I'm glad we don't, but you have to have some
fearless kind of
bravery. I think this is exactly what Ukrainians are showing, is on top of being incredibly funny, even in the darkest hours, which is something that you can find Churchillian in a way, something that's obviously Zelensky and Churchill are having together in common, a good communication, but also a straight mind. I will tell you, I know that we are not supposed to discuss that. We are supposed to talk about archiviz and all this stuff, but I've read a super interesting book. It's called The End of the Red Man. It's by a girl. I forgot the name of the writer. She had a novel for the book on Chernobyl, and they were talking, and it's a series of interview on of Russians that are missing the Soviet era. So why the hell would you miss a dictator? And it's super interesting because into the book, and this is something that really I cannot stop thinking about it, is that you start the Russia, the Putinist Russia, or even the Soviet Russia, started going wrong when they broke the instruments that permit to verify if something is true or not. And think about it. Indeed, when you don't have the instruments that can verify that what is happening on the ground is really what happening in the field is really happening, then there's no way you can address the problem. And actually, this is exactly what the Tsar did, then the Soviet did, and then what Putin is doing is that it destroyed the tools that permits to check if something is happening or not. Therefore, he's in the wrong entirely, and he's in the wrong because of the politics that is made around it. It's not necessarily a decision that he's taking, but it doesn't have the measure anymore. It doesn't have the tools. It doesn't have the information, the right ones. So it leads to something crazy. And if there is something interesting in democracies, is that we have these tools. We have the tools that can verify that something is having a problem. They don't have them anymore. And this is the reason why this conflict is happening. It's because of everything is wrong and off in the Russian mind.
No, I was thinking about this too, because of course I come from Bulgaria, which is a country that it's currently very divided on the situation because of, you can imagine, there are many moments in history where the histories of the two countries of Russia and Bulgaria are connected. And also there are these 50 years of communism where the Russians basically decided how to teach history in Bulgaria. So the minds of Bulgarians are very confused. And also it's very similar to how you lead, right? So you have to have the freedom of speech as an expert. Also in your company, for example, you have experts that are archiviz experts, and if some of your collaborators comes to you and knows that you're a kind of dictator within your company and tells you, Eric, we don't have enough people, we cannot manage to do this on time, and this is the reason, and I believe this and that, and if you're like dictator wise person that fires people right away, they're not gonna be coming to you to tell you anything. So I think this is also a problem, right? So you need to have freedom of expression and freedom of listening to others to understand if what is the real problem, what is the real issue.
But the truth is that it's a powerful tool. The freedom of expression is a powerful tool, even in a war. I mean, the Nazis lost the war because they were not having it, while the Brits were having it, and therefore they could correct the thing because you have the right, informations, and you need to have the right informations if you want to be efficient. So I'm not going to discuss whether a system is better than another. One thing is for sure is that in democracy you have counterpowers, and the counterpowers are actually the ones that are giving you the right information. So if you want to be efficient at some point, you have to have the right information, even if very often they are not that good. But it's a question of efficiency, and it's a kind of what people are stupidly thinking about dictator is that they are efficient. They are efficient for a moment, but they collapse because at some point you cannot shovel, the bad stuff under the carpet endlessly. So it is more painful to be a democracy, but it's finally less efficient on the long run, and that will end the little moment of politics.
Yeah. Let's try to be more positive. I wanted now it's a great moment because the first time we spoke on the podcast, that was such a long time ago that there was not even a video. I remember when there was even a glitch, and I thought we lost the recording, but luckily it worked out. So you've been doing a lot since the last time we talked. Like here we can see the Instagram account of Luxigon.
Yeah, well, the Instagram account we stopped at some point because of the war in Ukraine. This is really like I don't feel like I'm going to fucking endlessly advertise images. For a couple of months we decided that we will just go off the grid for a moment. I mean, seriously, architecture visualization. Well, I was right.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, it turns out it was I was not that off. But we're doing what we're doing. It's a bit complicated. I'll be honest with you, it's a bit complicated these days because most of the things we do that are really nice we cannot show. Someone they invented NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. And you have to sign that like every 5 minutes. You have to sign one of them. So it means that basically you cannot show images anymore or anything. So yeah.
And these are like, for example, I see you've done some images for like space exploration. Are these projects that are really being discussed to be realized, or?
Yeah, it's graphene. God, you don't know graphene. Graphene is like the future. It's like chocolate for space. It turns out to be a very funny experience, mostly because of the people that were doing that were really passionate. Graphene is a material that is super resistant, and it's like carbon. It's super resistant, super light. So it means that it's going to be used massively in space. And funny enough, in order to advertise it, they asked a guy from Skidmore. So for some, to design a spaceship, and I had a lot of fun. Actually, I did these images this month because they were really passionate. This is what I'm missing from the good old days. Is that in the past people were really passionate about what they were doing. Now, sorry, because people getting killed in the streets.
No problem.
No, it's okay. And they were really passionate, and sometimes you still find people that are really into what they are doing. Now mostly it's a gimmicks. I mean, they invented all sort of new forms of gimmicks, but before it was really about architecture. These days is really everything but architecture the problem. Mostly gimmicks. So it was super nice to work on that because they were really enjoying. And even when I'm 25, so it means that it's a long time that I'm doing images. But still these days, when someone is liking your work, it's enjoyable. When someone say, damn, this is much better than what we had in our mind, this can make you super happy. And really, again, I'm 25, so I know a bit what I'm talking about.
Eric, sure. I have a quick question, because you just mentioned the NDAs. How are you guys dealing with then showing work if everybody is, how are you getting new clients then? Because I see this in other industries as well. Everything is under an NDA. Some clients, you can't even put their name on your website or anything. How are you dealing with that?
We go in the subway with flyers, and we show them randomly.
I love it.
We hope that one of them will be an architect and will hire us. I mean, this is
okay.
I don't know. This is part of a completely idiotic thing. For example, I signed an NDA, but I know, like, not that I want to know it, but I know every other competitors that are doing this. So it's on top of being stupid. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid for the business too, because how are you supposed to then, work up from there? How is the industry or the craft supposed to go further and develop?
We are going to do images for the metaverse. I mean, nobody's annoying us with this.
Do you have time to work also on the metaverse and stuff like that?
Of course. I invented it for starts. No, yes, actually, I mean, apart again from the stupid gimmicks that are around it, there is two options. It can be extra.
This is what you're going to build in a metaverse, your satanistic church or something like that.
No, I hope that the Church of Satan will buy it for real. I mean, it's a real religion in the US. Well,
yeah.
A broke religion because they are not super well organized. But
wait, the Church of Satan, or are you talking about Scientology?
The Church of Satan,
okay.
But it's a huge building. I mean, it will require a lot of money, and the cantilever is quite expensive as well. Although it's doable. I had an engineer work on it to see if it was possible, and it is possible. Although the beam will be kind of thick.
And are you looking into the NFT things too, or that's not your thing?
I find it to be incredibly interesting. I'm just waiting until the tide is done, and you can look at it with an eye that is actually the technology is super interesting. The arts can be discussed, but that's art. So I mean, what is underlying the NFT is probably something that will stay. Most of the artists will go, a few will stay, and it will just recreate the system that we were having before, only with a new, a different technological approach. What is interesting is the fact that you can possess something numerically. The problem of numerically means that if you pull the plug, you have nothing.
I think it's still to be completely fully discovered what is the use of NFTs, because I've been inviting a couple of people that know more about it, and I think we're just like this thing with the images and art is just the first kind of use that they can do. It's the easiest thing. Also, it's the most lucrative for artists, because it's the first time that, for example, people like you or people like people that do digital art can make it more unique, instead of before it was just a JPEG that it's all the same. Now it can be encrypted.
The thing is that for the moment, it's not. It will start being interesting when it will be full 3D, when you will be able to embed it from one thing to another. For the moment, it's just the infancy of it. So I'm not being to be too critical about it, because you can see the possibility that it will be the model for buying stuff in 5 years. Okay, everything you will buy, from a song to I don't know, a magazine, will be in the NFT sort. Okay, so the arts was. It's funny because I've discussed a lot with people doing NFTs, but the original ones, it's a beatnik thing. It was a way of exchanging art in a nice way. It became a business like 1 year ago. But originally it was never planned like that. It was not the idea was not to create. So like every bubble on the internet, it's being taken over by a bunch of people. I mean, you will discuss with Fabio. He knows the subject better than I do. But it's being handled by a lot of people that want to capitalize on it, which is okay. I mean, why not? Finally, if you have a buyer, why not be a seller? I mean, this is an easy thing to understand. After that, people want to buy something, shit for an enormous amount of money, they're free to do it, right? But this is free country, so if you want to sell something and someone will buy it, finally, what's the problem? But on the long run, the technology is super interesting. And I will not criticize it just because I find that and also the art can be interesting, but it will be full 3D. And again, something that you will be able to move from one point to another. Let's say you are in a metaverse somehow, and you can move your things to another one. It will be your possession, your online possessions, and I find it to be an interesting thing to think about.
But it's just at the beginning. I feel like you said, I think this is just scratching the surface. And as soon as this hype cloud, which is already receding, at least in the United States, as soon as that sort of blows over, then the actual creative work with what can an NFT bring to business, to personal creativity, to creative in general, then that's really going to bloom. But at the moment, it's sort of like the seed being watered and watered and watered.
Exactly, but it's usual. I mean, you have the technology first, then comes the politics. So for the moment, people are most of the people. I mean, it's easy to hate something. I mean, this is like really not complicated. You just say, "Wow, it's bullshit." For real, there is always a part that is bullshit, but it doesn't mean that it's not interesting. And I really do think that it's incredibly interesting. It's only for the moment being a bit like floating around. And not necessarily well understood. I mean, even the idea of the metaverse is not really well understood. Well, actually, it's really interesting. It is an experimental field, and I don't know how you want to live your life, but I think that experimenting is kind of the essence of it. And if there is a way of experimenting again, I'm all for it. And on top of that, because it's also a simulation tool, I mean, you can enter all sort of simulation into it and see how people will react. I mean, it's an endless possibilities apart from it being dumb and ugly for the moment. That's pretty much it. It's not because it's dumb and ugly that at some point would not be nice.
Yeah. And one thing I was curious, last year you did in September the first In-Betweenness festival. You did it in Portugal. I think that was mainly organized by you guys from Luxigon, right?
No.
Or no?
No. Jess that is working at the office had Pedro to organize it because he was a bit lost at some point into the thing. But we are not at all involved into the organization, and not Luxigon. But Jess from Luxigon did, yes.
What was this festival about? Because I saw a lot of people from the archiviz going on this festival, speaking.
It was the first attempt. No, it was super nice. I mean, it's as always. There are the people that are doing it with passion. It doesn't matter if it does not succeed exactly the way it was. I mean, there was some problem with the organization and there problem with sound. I mean, nothing that I haven't seen before. But it was nice because people were nice. And fundamentally, this is all what matters. I mean, this is why I avoid going to anything that becomes too endorsed. I mean, when I see Autodesk in big letters on something, no, I don't go. I don't want to be the support for any, software company or whatever, or at least a software company that I will actually enjoy. So I am not a big fan when it starts to be too sponsored.
Mm-hmm.
This is just because I don't want it, and on top of that, I don't want presence. I don't want I don't want to be liked by people I don't really like.
So it's kind of like the freshness of it sort of goes away. It's over capitalized or oversold or however you want to call it. Something like that.
You know what's going to happen when an event is being sponsored. It means that you lost a bit of your freedom of speech, and I want my freedom of speech. I want
Yeah,
to.
it's like over-engineered. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
No, you have to be polite. I mean, it's not a question of actually being polite. It's a question of what can we talk about. I mean, if I don't want to advertise things, I'm not an advertiser. I'm not even interested into it. I mean, you see my Instagram. I have 1,000 people. I'm not at all interested into having 2,000 people. I just use it as a notebook. But if I was having people, I would start worrying about what I'm posting. And I don't want to do that. I want to post the things I want to post. I want to say the things I want to say. Not that it's always very interesting, but at least I have that. So what was nice with the Coimbra experience is that it was not massively sponsored. So and it was coming from the heart, which I think is super important.
No, of course, and also this is also one of the reasons why we started something alternative here, because when you go on like the main websites like Arc Daily, Design Boom, stuff like this, you see all these sponsors and product placement, and there is nothing other than just the images of the different works and nothing behind it. And it's always very nice to get in touch with the people behind the work they do, instead of just purely watching some images, and people make money out of your content.
But the truth is that it's also because it's difficult to earn your life. I mean, I understand the point of the sponsor. I'm not stupid or too idealist, but this is where the NFT could be interesting, because again, for example, your podcast could be NFT'd in a way, so it means that only the people who like it will buy it in a way. Okay, I'm not talking about NFTing it like straight, but the methodology to actually sell it is going to change, which means that at some point we will need a lot less sponsor, because why the hell do we have to go to a sponsor thing to actually see events? I see it from music. When I was younger, musical instruments was costing a fortune and recording studios were costing a fortune. Okay, these days you can hear excellent music that is done with 1,000 euros of softwares and a computer. Okay, so it means that music has changed entirely, and it means as well that I don't have to have a major to deliver music. I can find that myself on the internet. Now the problem is that the people that are doing music are not earning their lives because there is no economy that is built around them. But the NFT will bring that. There will be an economy built around the smallest of the smallest entity. And this is where it's super interesting, because it's skipping literally the ugliest part of capitalism, which is why the hell is there someone that will choose what I like and what I don't like?
Well, yes, that, and the fact that always the big fish get the reach or the opportunity to sell more, etc. But I agree with you. I think this is an era of the micro collective or the niche or the super niche. And I think that there's the possibility that not only the mainstream is going to be popular and the big brands or the big companies, but really that there's going to be like all these bubbles that can cross-connect and create new things and overlap, or not at all. But from a sponsoring perspective, I think that that's something that's just developed over the last 50 years. Somebody saw the opportunity, and then it sort of was like a small person or company doesn't have the money, we'll get a sponsor on board, they'll shoot money in, and bam, we can go big. And I think that that's just been done way too much. I agree with you there. Like Georgi said, we talked about it for a long time for TCI. And for us, it was always like, well, are we going to be independent then still? And that goes into what you had said before. It's like, do I have to censor myself? And that independent thing, I think that that's something in the future, like tomorrow and the next years, a lot of creatives also and a lot of businesses are going to have to ask themselves, because it is becoming more important and more valuable to be independent. And I think that's something in the last years that hasn't been the case that much at all.
I agree entirely. On top of that, I mean, there is not a small niche when you think about the size of the internet.
Yes, totally. I agree. Yeah.
I mean, if there are people that are, revering cucumbers, I mean, there are probably 1 million of them. and 1 million of them is like a lot of people. So, you know, it's just that we are in some sort of a abnormal moment for the moment where we just let go a little bit on our privacy and how much we worth ourselves. We just gave up on it. I mean, we gave up on the idea that we can change things if we want. A bit like a lot of people that gave up on voting or gave up on complaining about software. I don't see any more people complaining about it. They complain online, but sending an email to say, hey, listen, I paid for that stuff and it's not working. I don't see any more doing it. Most people are saying, bah, big companies, I mean, why would I do it? I said, you have to do it. This is the whole point. So there will be a balance of power at some point. This is really something that I believe is going to happen. And this is because of the technology. That's why you cannot say, oh God, it's dumb, because it's not dumb if you see how accurate it can be into addressing problems that we are having.
Yeah. No, but we about the things you said with the sponsors and stuff, people have to get used to this new way that's more decentralized, because we can see it also now with the situation on TV, for example. You don't get the news from TV because they are all sponsored by different companies that have different interests, or they're influenced by politicians. But in the meanwhile, if you go and like, you have to research, of course, but there are certain channels about news and that are legit, and they're paid by their viewers, right? So they have whether Patreon or whether NFT or something. And yeah, the mentality has to be that you have to pay for the service you're using instead of paying for, like, everything that's free, it's paid in some different way, which you don't know.
Of course.
But that's slowly coming, though. A lot of people aren't aware of it. And I think that mindset click is slowly being created.
But
it will come. I mean, my son was 16, which means that I had my son when I was 9.
The youngest person in the room, Eric, tired.
You already understood it. I mean, we're just a generation, you know. Well, your generation probably understood it a bit better than the older one. Me, I'm in technology for a long time, so it means I have this little advantage of not being entirely off the grid. But it's going to be very natural for them they see the trick. I mean, they understand the trick super well. They know when they are being used. They know when they are not being used. I mean, but what is annoying is that it deploys a system of stupidity. And this is a bit what is happening with. I enjoy very much that you are showing Instagram, but the system of stupidity is also into that. The Instagram, Facebook, well, not Facebook, it does not exist anymore, but TikTok and it's a system of stupidity that will unfortunately do the job that before major companies were doing. So it means that basically you will like what it tells you is likable. And this again is a problem. That's why every time there is a technology that is interesting, like the blockchain or the NFT, that is not being handled because it's impossible to get the grip out of it, then there is a form of freedom into it.
You mean the algorithm? Yeah. That's what you're referring to. Yeah.
They already, in a way, they already did it in the transaction. You know, in the transaction moments, the gas fee or the things like that. I mean, don't worry. I mean, capitalism being what it is, and I insist, I'm capitalist, so I have nothing against it. By the way, capitalism is not a philosophy. Capitalism is the idea that you have to make money, whatever.
And okay? You have to, but that brings again, like the advancement of technology and advancement of a business. So, for example, if it was communism, you wouldn't have any incentive to be better than the others, because it's sort of like it's not self-regulated. It's already capped, so to say. So
we know that it doesn't work. So
also, it's in your case, like if Luxigon, if you were lazy, Luxigon wouldn't be so like successful with this different style and specific style that you have researched. And I don't know, you would be having 10, for example, 10 clients because it's by law or something, and then you would do whatever you would do.
I know.
Oh, but there wouldn't be NDAs. There wouldn't be NDAs.
everything will be NDA. You will
just disappear. You would just disappear like in China.
Yeah, exactly.
You get a number.
I've been to Russia, well, USSR when I was 16. I remember we went to a restaurant and we said, "Can we eat?" And the restaurant was empty. Like there was not a single person. And the guy looked at us and said, "It's full." And we said, "But it's empty." He said, "Yes, but I'm paid the same, empty or full." So that kind of, I think, says it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, my father said to me something very interesting. He said before, during the communism, you wouldn't go to buy from the shop what you need. You go to buy what they have.
Exactly. So there is this and that, and it didn't change. So again, not to compare systems entirely, because all systems are faulty. I mean, the truth is always in the middle. Okay, that is a general idea. Sometimes more like 25-75. But there is always a bit of truth, even in the craziest thing. It's actually being moderate that is difficult. I'm moderate. I'm trying to never go too far, because if I'm sure about what I'm saying, it's probable that I'm wrong.
No, definitely. But you also seem to be someone that read a lot. Also, the last time we talked, you mentioned different books that are not related to creativity or art directly. By the way, how is going with the you were teaching in the US? Are you still managing to do that, or?
I did it last year because it was the problem is that it's super difficult. It's still a bit complicated to travel, so it means that I did it last year online. And generally I do it, either in fall or in spring, because there's 2 semesters. I teach a semester per year. Funny enough, they call it spring, but for real, it's winter. And so I did it last year online. It was finally, it worked super well. It was exhausting, even more than going there every week. And this year, because nobody was really knowing, will there be plane? Will there be no planes? How much are they going to cost? Because this is also something. A lot of the low-cost company that I was taking collapsed during the pandemic. So I think this year is off, but I'm possibly doing it this fall again.
So
I don't know if it will be online or if it will be flying there. I still don't know.
Yeah. Well, Eric, I know you're very busy and you are going to do competition. I want you to have some time to sleep too, not to collapse. I know you're 25, and you can handle it, but still, it's not so healthy on the long term from when you get a little older.
26.
Let's end up as always on a positive note, and if you want, you can share some. As we always do, some books, movies, music that you like to consume when you need to get some creative pump up, or in general you need a pump up.
Okay, so there is a lot. You know that there is a lot. So I think that I don't know if you've seen Licorice Pizza, the Paul Thomas Anderson is my favorite movie director. Is the one that did The Master, and the last movie from Paul Thomas Anderson, Licorice Pizza, is absolutely amazing. Like really, it's kind of my favorite movie. It's a long time I haven't seen a movie that is so well written, so well acted, and funny and weird at the same time. So I would say that if there is one movie that you should see, this is the one. Now, if you want to freak out a little bit, you can download the 4 hours interview of Vladimir Putin by Oliver Stone.
Oh, by Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Oliver Stone did. I didn't know about that since like 6 months ago. And 6 months ago, someone talked to me about it, and I watched it. And I have to say that it is. I was kind of very worried because it is fascinating. Fascination is something that is very, very special as a way of thinking, as a way of being. Fascinations mean that you can watch horrible things, but you cannot stop watching them. Okay, so fascination is something that is a very, very, very complicated feeling or a very, very complicated way of being. When you are fascinated, it means that you are hypnotized by something. And these 4 hours are literally fascinating because you kind of like Putin. And it's not like he's not. It's not like
it's scary.
Asking the questions. He's asking the questions, but it's so well done that you become fascinated. And this is a super dangerous thing. So the reason why I'm saying it is because you can tie it to architectural images or whatever images. By the way, is that you can do terrible things, but they are fascinating. And Putin in these interviews is fascinating. He's a fascinating character. He's a motherfucker from hell, but he's so good that you become fascinating. It's a bit like what people were saying about Hitler. It's like, he's a nice guy. He's nice with dogs and girls, and he's he kisses kids on the forehead. And you say, yeah,
that's creepy.
But for real, he's a serial killer. You see, so I would recommend watching it just because it creates a very ambiguous moment that is probably one of the most necessary in art, is ambiguity and fascination. Or can you be fascinated by something evil? It's really something that you have to watch. But independently from that, and there are some rightish questions into the law. So it's a bit less funny than Licorice Pizza, but here we go. Books, there's so many. So I'm reading the worst books ever. The worst ever book on Daft Punk. Every sentence 3 words, and there's overuse of 3 points. Like it was.
That's
3 points. So it's the most terrible book I ever read. Funny enough, it's written big letters, pages are enormous, and I cannot finish it. Normally, I can read easily a book per day. But here, I'm trying my best. It's like 20 pages in the, written in 18 font, 18. Nothing I can do about it. So don't read it. But not a lot of risk that you will. Music, yeah.
What means
No
time for music.
No, of course I have time for this. This is my favorite thing. I mean, I'm a failed musician. I'm actually not a successful image maker. I'm a failed musician. I would define myself.
That's what you can tell in the background.
Yeah. I'm earning money with images. I'm spending it in music. There's even Flat Eric. You can see it there. Monsieur Oiseau. So listen to the. This is a nice. A nice album. Mr. Oiseau and Fra, the Italian rapper. So this is French and Italy together doing the best sound possible.
Georgi, you have to listen to that because
Mr. Oiseau and Fra, it's kicking over.
So we got it.
In a good mood.
We will for sure. Well then, it sounded great, Eric. Thank you very much for your time.
God,
I'm already feeling the punk leaving my body by taking off my dark glasses. I can see again.
Hey, you see
you're welcome back on the 1000.
Thank you very much. Hey, it was super nice. Keep on the good job. I will keep listening to you while I'm working.
Sure, and
we are humbled.
we will hope to see you in Paris soon.
Yeah, but come on, you just drop me a line and we go and we
will.
Definitely.
Yeah, really, do not hesitate. I mean, we know each other.
Oh, we won't.
No. Don't worry, we're not shy.
Okay.
No.
Thank you, Eric.
Have a super nice afternoon. I will stop my camera. Can I stay here but not watch? No. Or is it working now? If I want to listen to the podcast, I'm not against it.
You can go on YouTube. It's live.
Okay. What is YouTube?
It's a big website from Google.
Okay.
They're very data insensitive.
Okay, good. It's exactly what I want. Okay, I'll go on YouTube then.
Okay. Bye, Eric.
Super nice afternoon, guys. Thank you very much for everything.
Good luck on the competition.
See you in 1000.
See you.